45 equals 20 plus 25. 45 times 45 equals 2025. 45 times 45 times 45 equals 91,125. And the Gregorian date, 9/11/25, embraced most of Elul 18, aka 1218 on the modern Hebrew calendar, the exact Jewish date on which Charlie Kirk died, the Jewish date which foreshadowed the chronological center of Hanukkah 2025, December 18, as discussed in my last video. The ordinal gematria value of Enoch equals 45. The ordinal gematria value of Elijah equals 45. Both Enoch and Elijah concluded their time as mortals with an event foreshadowing the pre-tribulation rapture of the church. Speaking of Elijah, we saw how he was caught up to heaven in the center of a candlestick structure, just as was Charlie Kirk, as discussed at length in our last video. Note that the ordinal gematria value of Elisha equals 54. And 2 Kings 2, which tells the story of Elijah's rapture in the midst of a menorah, depends on the journey of Elisha back to Samaria to do so. Elijah plus Elisha equals 45 plus 54 equals 99. So we may reasonably conclude that the spirit which inspired 2 Kings 2 really was intentionally foreshadowing the way Charlie Kirk's death in the geographic middle of a Hanukkah menorah structure points us 99 days forward to the exact chronological center of Hanukkah 2025. When I recently learned that Elisha equals 54, I instantly wondered if perhaps my personal testimony points to Hanukkah 2025 in some special way as well. You see, I've known for quite some time that the ordinal gematria value of Devin equals 54. I want to now show you something I realized very shortly after I wondered about this. Now this has me so amazed and convinced, but I will let you be the judge of whether or not it is supernatural and from God. The most interesting part of my personal testimony is the most recent 12 years of it, or so. This part begins on the day I was personally and unquestionably shown by God that He wanted me to get married someday. On July 14, 2013, I became 100% convinced that the Lord wanted me to get married to someone someday. Without going into all the details, I will just say that He personally and supernaturally showed me this that day. At the time, I didn't even have a girlfriend and had never met my future wife. I cannot imagine having a better wife or a more significant marriage. Life with the Lord and with Astrid are simply incredible. In order to show you what I'm ultimately trying to show you in this video, I will need to share the basic timeline of the big moments of our married experience together. So let's get into it. I met Astrid online on March 6, 2015, was engaged to her on a mountaintop on June 7, 2015, married her in a courtroom wedding on September 4, 2015, began living with her for the first time on December 18, 2015. I married Astrid in a more complete wedding, including friends and extended family, on December 27, 2015, and moved with her from the USA to Iceland on April 11, 2016. I married her in a lavish Spanish wedding her parents threw for us in Spain on July 10, 2016. Welcomed our first daughter late the same year, and bought our first home about the same time. About 11 months later, we sold that apartment for a serious profit and bought a larger freestanding home and rental apartment. February through April of 2020, we permanently departed from the Seventh-day Adventist belief system we had grown up in and personally maintained until that point. On March 26, 2020, our only man-child was caught up unto God the same day he was prematurely born. In early 2022, our youngest daughter was born, and in August the same year, my wife began to receive supernatural dreams from the Lord, which got us started intensively watching for the rapture of the church. On August 26, 2023, I received my one and only ever waking vision from the Lord. Nothing more than the numbers 69 and 36 shown in that order. On March 1, 2024, I began working for an airline, which came with the perk of allowing our family to fly far more than ever before. Since then, my kids have become quite used to hopping on a plane to go somewhere fun. On August 2, 2025, we began intensively watching with Joshua Mlekla and others for the ultimate flight to occur on September 23 through 24, 2025. Also in August 2025, I began regularly posting on my YouTube channel. And if you've been following, you know the rest of the story. I would like to take this opportunity for a side note. I've often heard it said that belief in the pre-tribulation rapture is mostly supported by a bunch of people who are miserable and just looking for a quicker way out. And I just want to say that I'm not miserable in this life. The Lord has always blessed me immensely, and I have nearly every truly good thing anyone could ask for in this life. I even live in one of the very best countries on earth, by many measures. Yet I eagerly desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one, just as Hebrews 11:16 encourages. I eagerly seek to be with Jesus as soon as possible. I eagerly seek the great escape, just as the Bible encourages. And now we are truly on the brink of this according to the Bible. That is the truth. Okay, with that being said, let me get back on track. Here is what the Lord recently showed me about my story. When he told me back on July 14, 2013 that he wanted me to get married, he chose that day to say so for an infinitely intelligent reason. Recall that in my one and only vision I received from God in 2023, he showed me merely 69:36. I have found these numbers to be more significant than I can possibly tell you anytime soon. Since 69:36 rounded to three significant figures is 69:40, I checked and found that the 694th day since the beginning of July 14, 2013, is the exact day I got engaged to Astrid, June 7, 2015. Of course, we know 726 means the rapture, so I checked 726 days after July 14, 2013, and found it to be July 10, 2015. Exactly 1 year to the day before I finished the process of marrying Astrid via our third wedding. And it cannot possibly be a coincidence that the 888th day after July 14, 2013 is the very day Astrid and I began living together permanently for the first time. Even though we were legally married as early as September 4, she and I continued living separated by a 3-hour drive as she finished out her last semester in school. On December 18, 2015, I arrived at her apartment to begin moving all her few things to my place. I remember how we celebrated that day that we would never live apart again. December 18, moving in with your spouse. Guys, this year, December 18 is the exact center of Hanukkah. The next amazing duration is from July 14, 2013 to the day of my 69:36 vision, August 26, 2023. This special day was the 3,696th day from the day I learned I would be married. If you read 3696 the same way we usually read a candlestick process, moving from the outside to the center from both ends, you get 3669. And finally, September 23, 2025 was the 4,455th day since the beginning of July 14, 2013, while the very last day of Hanukkah 2025, that is December 22, will be the 4,545th day since then. And this is why I began the video with the number 45, because this is where I wanted to end up. 4 plus 5 equals 9. You know, like a 9-branch Hanukkah menorah. So the 4,545th day is a nod to the 99th day, the last between the two Hanukkah menorahs we highlighted in our last video. I would end the video right there, but I can't help but include two more important additional points. I am one of those people who believe the most ancient and biblical way to observe any month is from full moon to full moon. I believe the Lord created the month to begin with a full moon. The full moon this month was early December 5 in Israel, so the first day of Kislev should be considered to end at sundown in Israel this same day, which means Hanukkah will actually begin sundown on December 28, and the exact center of the holiday will be sundown January 1st, 2026, as foreshadowed by the commonly recognized center of Hanukkah on December 18. Please note that from July 14, 2013 to January 1, 2026 is not 4,455 days, like September 23, 2025, nor is it 4,545 days, like December 22, 2025. No, it is actually 4,554 days. You know, like Elijah is 45 and Elisha is 54, with 45 plus 54 equaling 99. It all makes me think that perhaps why 9/11 is such a big deal is at least partly due to the fact that 9 times 11 equals 99. Speaking of which, 9/11, 2032, just 4 days before the day of the second coming as per what Joshua Malekla was told, is the exact 7,000th day after July 14, 2013. The day of the second coming of Jesus is the 7,004th. It really makes an impact on someone who already knew that the ordinal geometry of Jesus is 74.